The broadcast of per capita stunning, is she the supporting role? I declare that she is doomed. The release of Painting the Earth as a Prison, is the female lead her? Is the box office exploding? Shit, a cheesy commercial film with a literary shell. The release of Devil's Letter, is that mother her? Did Weibo stir fry get out of my way? I need to package it for 100 games first. Also known as Black Powder's self-strategy. On how to conquer black fans with acting skills. A disheveled fast-dresser picked up a messy set of dishes and chopsticks experience-oriented, group portraits, in dramas, no CP keywords of the novel. The entire entertainment industry thinks I'm confused without pop-ups, the entire entertainment industry thinks I'm confused with TXT Complete Collection download, and the entire entertainment industry thinks I'm confused with the latest chapter reading. Chapter 1. Resurrection. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 1 Resurrection Northwest Film and Television Base. I'm not mistaken, was that Xia Yu just now? He was hidden by Xingtang's snow 2 years ago, and now he's back. What would happen if she made a comeback? Back then, it was said that she only occupied 2 dressing rooms, with as many as 7 or 8 stylists and makeup artists alone. Several of the main characters were overwhelmed by her, and she couldn't hold their heads up. How about today? She still had to squeeze with us in this collective dressing room. A top-tier celebrity, it is rumored that the scripts of the female lead were piled up in front of her like a mountain. What happened? After a night of hard work, nothing happened. A year ago, there were rumors and gossip about her opening a small supermarket in her hometown's small county town. That's not necessarily the case. With their face and acting skills, they might turn the tables at some point. You should just keep your mouth shut and save yourself trouble. How many directors are willing to cooperate with her just because of her black materials? If you want to clean up and make a comeback, let's move on to the next life. You can be sour. You've been famous for a while, and there's a brokerage company behind your back. We've been around for a few years, but we're still a special type. You guys, either hurry home and marry Han Sheng, or you'll just have a good fight with that bastard from the group to find a new way out. After these words were finished, the group dressing room quieted down for several seconds, followed by some messy words that dirted the ears. Xia Yu sat in the dressing room, flipping through the biographies of characters. The whispers from the neighboring group's dressing room were either contemptuous or dark, and she didn't know that the main host had overheard them. She seemed to have a calm expression, but in fact, her hand flipping through the character's biography had stopped for more than 10 seconds without moving. She no longer remembers her true background. I only know that she is not from this world, but from another time and space as a fast piercer. Due to multiple failed fast piercer missions and a long-term low completion rate, she was once awarded the title of Fast Piercer Salted Fish. After the failure of the previous Fast Pass mission, not only did the entire body burp on the plane, but also the soul was severely damaged. In order to save her, the system exhausted its resources and downgraded from an S.level disaster level system to the lowest level R.level system. At present, she has separated from her host and transformed into a pure black English short with real life. Only within a range of 5 meters can the system interface be triggered. Due to the exhaustion of system resources, the system also issued the last self-rescue mission. Acting becomes divine. She was forced to be exiled to this R.level cultural world to hone her acting skills, complete 5 acting achievements, and reactivate the original system's original restoration function. Failure will completely stay in this world until natural death. Originally, Xia Yu was very happy, even though the memories of her past experiences were sealed off. However, Shen Yu's personality did not change much, and she just wanted to live comfortably for decades, which was enough. But when she opened her personal panel, she almost choked to death. The system name is long. The self-rescue system for quick penetration failures is divided into the literary system. Host. Xia Yu, age. 19. Life. 24. Unlocking achievement. 0 out of 5, unlock course. 0/XXX, unlocking achievement rewards. None, evaluation. You have perfectly inherited 99% of the original owner's acting talent, but the revolution has not yet been successful. Comrades still need to work hard. For each achievement unlocked, in addition to increasing lifespan by at least 5 years and up to 50 years, you will also receive additional rewards. Is my remaining lifespan less than 5 years, combined with my natural death? Of course. These are all data from 2 years ago. The current age column should be replaced with 21 years old. At the bottom of the system, there are 2 more options. The achievement package is gray and has not been activated yet. The art course has been activated. Click in and take a look. Xiaoyu is a straightforward guy. Language, literature, history, opera, drama, it's really comprehensive. This course requires a lot of points. The source of points comes from her film salary. She has 30,000 yuan on hand, but she can't even afford to attend a class. The course started with 100,000 points, but with just that, there was still a huge discount. She had no other memories, but she remembered the system very clearly. She couldn't understand its urinary nature any better. If she wanted to survive, she could only rely on its arrangement and focus on her acting skills to unlock achievements. Otherwise, in 5 years, she will have to bring this body that should have died long ago to game over. Xiaoyu, an underachieving student in the performance department of the Imperial Academy of Film and an actor under Xingtang Media. This is her new identity now. She accepted everything that the original owner contained, including memory and emotions, and was once confused whether she possessed the original owner or whether the original owner had obtained the memory and system of a fast-wearing person. After fully integrating the original owner's memory, she couldn't say whether it was her misfortune or the original owner's misfortune. The original owner died from an overdose of sleeping pills without timely rescue, and the cause of death. Online violence. 2 years ago, Xiaoyu became a top performer in the entertainment industry with her film, The Misty Reign of the Republic of China. She was extremely popular for a while. Just when she was at her peak, she was taken down and a video of Xiaoyu's crew forcing actors to kneel was posted on Weibo in less than 10 seconds. For a moment, the entertainment industry exploded. Overnight, Xiaoyu's reputation collapsed, and at the same time, there were endless black materials emerging. #Xiaoyu plays big cards on set and bullies fellow actors in the same group. After Xiaoyu became popular, she will attend school for 6 months in the future. Xiaoyu suspected to be in love with the wealthy second generation, suspected to be a cheating female agent in order to pull Xiaoyu off the horse. Many fake composite photos were also exposed at home. There are too many people who criticize and criticize. Because of the fact that Xiaoyu went to school for half a year after becoming popular. The leader even criticized and urged. To be an actor, one must be dedicated, and to be a student, one must be even more dedicated. The Film Academy also made a statement as soon as possible, and issued a disciplinary action to XX-level student Xiaoyu, urging him to withdraw. The agent urgently engaged in public relations at the first moment, but the Navy's black fans flooded into Xiaoyu's Weibo, causing the server to crash for a while. Everyone follows suit. Xiaoyu became a mouse in a stinky ditch overnight, wishing everyone had to step on it to relieve their anger. After being shelved by the company, the original owner caused a lot of trouble and received cold treatment multiple times, causing her to become depressed. As her residential address was uncovered, black powder kept sending her blades, corpses of mice and insects, and even people blocking the entrance of the community, preparing to spray paint on her. The 19-year-old girl's condition rapidly worsened, and she had to rely on sleeping pills to fall asleep before she died. 2 years ago, the original owner finally couldn't bear it. On a late autumn morning, after losing sleep all night, she secretly swallowed a large amount of sleeping pills. At the same age as a flower, a fresh life withered away. Her body was taken over by Xiaoyu, and after rescue, she fell into a coma for a week before waking up. Due to the original owner's mental disorder and excessive ingestion of sleeping pills, Xiaoyu became the owner of this body. After receiving those almost overwhelming memories, she remained in a dazed and restless state for 6 months. It took a year of psychological treatment to alleviate the symptoms. I'm worried that she won't be able to withstand the rumors online, and my home is almost in a semi-disconnected state. It wasn't until 6 months ago that Xiaoyu found an opportunity to contact her agent. Key point: the primary logic of reading the article is not to use your brain, and not to think about what logic this article can have. A cute new author will definitely not be difficult, and stinky treasures should not be difficult for themselves. Don't take it too seriously, that's all. Regarding the system, it is basically an unconscious, panel-type system. Adding a pet that only sells cuteness and has no ability to remember satisfies the author's interest in pet grooming. It will only revive consciousness in the later stage, so there is no need to worry about the system causing trouble or brushing the presents, so feel free to fall into the trap. End of this chapter. Chapter 2. New Drama. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 2 New Drama. Xiaoyu's agent's name is Tao Tang. At first, Tao Tang did not agree to Xiaoyu. The original owner has a good talent in acting, but his personality is not suitable for mixing in the entertainment industry. Unable to resist Xiaoyu's ups and downs, Tao Tang eventually came to Huliang, Xiaoyu's hometown, to persuade the two elders. However, Xiaoyu's comeback journey is destined to be very difficult, much more difficult than a newcomer's debut. Xiaoyu was able to join the current production team and even got a role equivalent to the third female lead, which cost Tao Tang a lot. Per Capita Stunning is a historical martial arts and suspenseful love TV series produced by the top production team in China, Wei Jingqing Studio. The protagonist, Shen Luo, was originally the first young master of Mingjing Si. He was a loyal and passionate young man who befriended the old crown prince from a young age. 5 years ago, the old crown prince was deposed on suspicion of rebellion and died in exile. The crown prince's entire family was also charged with treason, implicated in multiple ethnic groups. Shen Luo spent 5 years conducting secret investigations and eventually discovered his biological father, who was the head of the Mingjing department. He gradually realized his father's huge ambition and, in the dilemma of loyalty, filial piety, benevolence, and righteousness, chose to escape reality and wander the world. The plot unfolds from here. The whole article is divided into 5 units, which may seem scattered, but all have intricate connections with the wrongful case of the old crown prince. Xiaoyu's portrayal of Shura Maiden Mu Wushuang is the lead character in the 4th unit, and her true identity is the orphan of the former crown prince's wrongful case. Shura Nu, after becoming a prominent family member, was involved in a wrongful case involving the old crown prince and committed family theft and extermination. She and her brother managed to escape and were forced to flee to a foreign land, but were separated halfway through. Her elder brother was nowhere to be found, but she was abducted by human traffickers. At dusk, she met God Zhao Jun, became a disciple of the door, and changed her name to Mu Wushuang. She thought this was her luck, and there was another family member in the world. Unexpectedly, it was just the beginning of a nightmare. At the age of 9, she was exiled from the forest and fought against wolves with a group of disciples. Only she crawled out alive. At 14, her hands were already heavily burdened with blood debts. At 19, she became the most talented and obedient puppet under the master's command. However, she did not recognize her brother until his death. She woke up from a loss of soul and had the idea of getting rid of fate. The dense handwriting records the ups and downs of the tragic life of the young girl. Xiaoyu advanced to the group for a week and finally waited for the notification from the drama department until last night. She is going to shoot the first act of the 4th unit. Both Xiaoyu and Mu Wushuang are highly valued by the director. After receiving instructions from the theater management, the stylist and makeup artist rushed over. The makeup artist is a little girl in her early 20s, with a round face that is very pleasing, but it also has another meaning, being easy to bully. "Hello, my name is Meng Dong." Meng Dong took the initiative to greet Xiaoyu first. Even though she had already seen Xiaoyu in the makeup photos half a month ago, until she was about to make a comeback, she couldn't help but be amazed when she saw her again. Xiaoyu nodded and smiled. Meng Dong's impression of Xiaoyu still lingers 2 years ago. The female student named Qin Su in The Misty Reign of the Republic of China was so stunning. She was once surrounded by fans, but after Xiaoyu collapsed, she also rationally withdrew from fans. It's not a question of whether fans have the ability to discern. The entertainment industry is too deep, and who knows if it's true or false. Especially she herself is engaged in this industry. The filter of a character in a film or TV series is not enough for them to confront their own values. However, seeing Xiaoyu's face again, she couldn't help feeling a little excited. "Are you going to fan her again, or are you going to fan her again?" Xiaoyu Han saw hesitation in the makeup artist's expression through the mirror, smiled, and handed the character in her hand to her bag. During the makeup process, Meng Dong showed admiration more than once, saying that beauty lies not in the skin but in the bones. This sentence was vividly portrayed on this person's face, not to mention that their skin is extremely attractive. The entire design was completed, and almost an hour passed. Xiaoyu's costumes are not many, only a few sets, and most of them are grey gauze clothes. The character is qualitative here. Today's scene is her first appearance after surrendering to the gods and shining in the mountains. She has changed the darkness, wrapped in a plain monochrome shirt, and draped in a moonlight long gown embroidered with iris flowers symbolizing freedom. Her original makeup has also been altered. With a change in the sharp edge of her eyebrows, eyes, and makeup, even the tall bridge of her nose was diluted. There was a hint of worried joy on her eyebrows, but the character's temperament was everywhere, reflecting her inner desire to break away from the divine mountain and feel uneasy. In terms of clothing and makeup, Wei Jingqing Studio has put a lot of effort into it, especially emphasizing that it is customized according to the characters and actors, and there will be no rough and shoddy makeup and cheap costumes in movies and TV dramas. Although Meng Dong didn't know the plot, he knew the character, so when Xiaoyu changed into a new costume and walked out, standing there, a word had already appeared in her mind. "It's about to come out." Xiaoyu stood there, standing with the image of a child of the martial arts world. Meng Dong blinked hard and couldn't help but clench his fist. Who said women have natural malice towards beautiful women? It's just nonsense. Although she is straight, she has no resistance to beauties like Xiaoyu who have grown up, okay, not to mention Xiaoyu's height of 1.71 meters, a standard 9-headed body. That pair of long legs reminded her of a word. Leg play year. Thinking of this, Meng Dong couldn't help but blush. Xiaoyu saw her in a daze and suddenly smiled, staring at me like this. "Is there something on my face?" After finishing speaking, I poured Meng Dong a glass of water, which surprised him greatly. No, I'll do it myself." "Thank you." Looking closely at Xiaoyu, Meng Dong's heart rate suddenly increased by at least 3 levels. She sighed inwardly about her lack of prospects, but there was nothing she could do. Xiaoyu had grown up in her aesthetic point, with a bright and beautiful appearance, but a dull temperament, and a beauty that others couldn't imitate in the contradiction. She took a deep breath and bravely said, "When you played Qin Su in The Misty Reign of the Republic of China, I really liked your role. I haven't had the chance. Could you please sign my name today?" Regardless of how the stories about Xiaoyu were spread before, the Xiaoyu she encountered could not be said to be perfect, nor could it match the character she had created before. However, at this moment, Xiaoyu moved her very much. She felt that with Xiaoyu's current attitude and personality, there was hope for a comeback, and she couldn't help but want to become a fan again. "Are you sure you want my signature?" Xia Yu was a bit surprised. During the period of the misty reign of the Republic of China, Xia Yu's facial makeup was everywhere in China. She was not surprised, but with Xia Yu's current style review, could anyone still ask for her signature? One word, magical. That's right. Meng Dong smiled at Xia Yu, suddenly feeling a bit shy. For Xia Yu, this is just a small and beautiful interlude. She didn't know that just after she left, her signed photo was uploaded to a WeChat group called, You Girlfriend's Last Stand. Unfortunately, this originally large group of 2,000 people has disintegrated multiple times, leaving less than 30 people. Among these 30 people, most of them are like Meng Dong, who has long lost fans and is too lazy to leave the group. It took about 2 to 3 hours for someone to notice Meng Dong's image message. At Zhao Dong, Jimei, how long ago was your signature? Why is it different from her original handwriting? There were nearly 45 minutes left until filming began, and Xia Yu didn't rush over until around 3:30 p.m. before leaving. When Xia Yu passed by the dressing room of the neighboring group performers, she could see a bunch of extremely exciting expressions on their faces. She only glanced at each other lightly and didn't say anything, but also said everything. 10 seconds later, even though the voices of discussion were extremely low, the group performance dressing room was still like poking a hornet's nest, because even from a distance, Xia Yu could still vaguely hear some miserable cries. In the makeup room of the group performance, a special type, out of curiosity, opened Weibo and searched for Xia Yu. Unfortunately, the Weibo account that once dominated the charts has been cancelled. Instead, it was a small internet celebrity who thought he could make a name for himself with this vest. Click in and take a look at the past Weibo posts, the latest one is also from over a year ago. Without exception, he was criticized for being so bloody that some spoke up for the actors who had been isolated by Xia Yu's previous production team, while others despised this little internet celebrity for eating dead man's food. As expected, the little internet celebrity was criticized and even gave up his account. In Xia Yuchao's words, there is also a lot of verbal abuse. Some dig graves for their own actors, but more of it is just verbal abuse. As for Xia Yu's fans, it is estimated that for idols who have no news after being snowed away, they will either leave the scene from the beginning or become black fans and join the camp of cursing together. However, the abusive posts and dates are not considered recent. After all, Xia Yu has really been stuck in the past 2 years. Opening a photo of Xia Yu that I had just taken secretly, I thought about it for a moment and realized that it had not been released. Before joining the group, I was ordered by the drama management and signed a confidentiality agreement, prohibiting the disclosure of stills. Otherwise, I would be held legally responsible. But thinking that I have been working in this industry for so many years and can't see a way out, I have a crooked mind. Turning to WeChat, I found a paparazzi with some good reputation, typed a paragraph, and sent it over. Are you interested in the latest news about Xia Yu's return to the entertainment industry? End of this chapter. Chapter 3. Shooting. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 3 Shooting. When Xia Yu arrived at the set, the basic crew members had already arrived. The title of a top production studio is indeed well deserved, even if it's not for the director Wei Jingqing in charge. The leading actors are very enthusiastic. The main actors are all newcomers with low popularity, and there is currently no situation where fans support and visit the group. However, even if there are, I don't think the Wei Jingqing production team will give face and launch them all on the grounds of affecting their filming. This is the confidence of top production studios. The main scene filmed today is the scene of Shen Luo and Mu Wushuang, which is their first encounter. After a tense confrontation, Shen Luo saw clues from Mu Wushuang's words and actions, and suspected that Mu Wushuang was the one he had been pursuing, slaughtering several Shura women from various martial arts sects, and thus launching a series of explorations. Shen Luo, who plays the protagonist, is a newcomer and, like Xia Yu, is a student at the Imperial Academy of Film, 1 year younger than her. The original owner was naturally unfamiliar, let alone unheard of, and was also overheard by Xia Yu by chance. His name was Chu Zi, a tall man with a height of 1.84 meters. His acting skills and appearance were all visible in this generation, but his luck had not yet arrived. He only came out to take on the role this year. However, Shen Luo, who auditioned for the role, was immediately spotted and had more luck than most of his classmates. I just don't have any real experience, and my understanding of the play is still a bit immature. The camera sense is also slightly lacking, so as soon as the person arrived, the director directly called out and pulled him over to talk about the play. Xiao Chu, come over here and I need to go through some details with you again. Lin Yong and Hu Chang, who played Jiang Enai and Lu Xing, both have several years of experience in the film industry, but they also show a very humble attitude. Look. Xia Yu. The arrival of Xia Yu has indeed attracted a lot of attention. Apart from her success 2 years ago, her own appearance and today's outfit are also truly stunning. The collaboration team of Wei Jingqing Studio is already an old brand in the circle. They knew she was participating in this drama for a long time, and the gossip behind her back was probably said 1,000 or 800 times. So much so that Xia Yu stayed on set for half a day, with no one holding her face or willing to approach her, and her attitude was indifferent. The entertainment industry is such a magical place. 2 years ago, the original owner went viral with a movie called The Misty Reign of the Republic of China, and everyone held her up. However, it collapsed overnight, and everyone wanted to step on her in the mud. But she's here to act, it doesn't matter. The formal actors who can cooperate with Wei Jingqing Studio mostly come from a professional background and have some performance experience. They do not even need to explain the basic positioning, and the director only talks about the performance ideas. Xia Yu listened on the sidelines, confirming the knowledge left by the original owner while occasionally feeling, "Oh, I see." The sound has benefited greatly. During the director's explanation to Chu Zi, many special type group performances also relied on him. It's not common for directors to talk about acting, and if they can learn something that suits them, they may be able to stand out through 1 or 2 scenes. As the shooting time approached, several other leading supporting role also arrived one after another. Although they didn't have their roles today, who wouldn't want Wei Jingqing's crew to perform better? Moreover, they are also curious about Xia Yu's upcoming comeback. Xia Yujin and the 2 directors on the set are also very headache-inducing. If possible, they really don't want to take over, but Wei Jingqing personally spoke up, and they can only grit their teeth and agree. They only hope that this ant can learn a lesson from being snowed away for the past 2 years and not act like a fool. Xia Yu comes with black traffic, and no one wants to be boycotted by the entire network before it even airs. Because of this, the original makeup photo was set to have 6 main characters, and Twilight Unmatched was kicked out. However, regarding Xia Yu, a hot potato, the 2 directors have a very clear idea. It is impossible to keep it a secret from the outside world. The production team has a lot of eye and mouth, and the so-called confidentiality agreement can also constrain the actors. The constraint on group performances is not significant, and it is uncertain when it will be spread. Just keep it a secret for as long as possible, don't let the black powder of the spray affect their shooting, and everything will be fine. However, after a few days of contact, the few people felt somewhat relieved. Before 4 o'clock, Xia Yu and the actors who played Lu Xing were both in place. They filmed the second act of today. The first act is the ending of the 3rd unit and the connection with the 4th unit, without Xia Yu's role. In the long street, Shen Luo and Jiang Enai also put on a look of approaching. The deputy director summoned personnel from each group and made a gesture to the director after confirming that all the machines were ready. At 4.1, the director rushed out late and said, "Everyone's phones are silent. Record the scene, prepare to play. 3, 2, 1, screenplay. Everyone's amazing, act XX, scene XX, action." In an instant, the entire set came to life. First, a long shot was taken towards the street, pulling vendors of all sizes into the area. With the crowd and shouting, Shen Luo and Jiang Enai appeared in the distance. Here, the emotions that Chu Zi wants to express are not simple. Fortunately, he comes from a professional background, has a solid foundation, and has a director who is skilled in acting. This scene is not very difficult, and TV dramas are not as demanding as movies. As long as the emotions and plot of the characters are well controlled, it is considered passed. At first, director Chi Chong was worried about Chu Zi, but during the filming a few days ago, this newcomer had many mistakes. Unexpectedly, with Chu Zi's hard work and explanation in the past few days, today's scene caught up with the filming pace, and even after shooting it once, it didn't go wrong. It can be considered as a good start. This surprised the director Chi Chong quite a bit, and he encouraged him appropriately. Xiao Chu, this scene was filmed well, keep going. The next scene will be a 4-person opponent scene. This is Xia Yu's first performance in this world. Mu Wushuang has many roles, and is the most complex female character besides Lady Qingshan. Ordinary young actors can't handle it, but older ones find it difficult to portray her cold and complex teenage vibe. It's almost time, not to mention Xia Yu, even director Chi Chong has an indescribable nervousness. Although it hasn't been exposed to the public, there have been rumors in the production team these days that Xia Yu was able to enter the team through the back door. The problem is that it's not just a rumor. If you say it makes people angry but not angry, he as the chief director can't get angry over this small matter. Otherwise, we would really agree with what they said. They are also influential people, they can't afford to lose this person. This scene was originally scheduled to be later, but Chi Chong deliberately advanced it for her. Although he has received recognition from the audition director, he still wants to see if Xia Yu's acting skills have fallen behind in the past 2 years through this scene. If you pass the level smoothly, the rumor of going through the back door will naturally come to an end. If Xia Yu's acting skills do not meet the standards, there was a clear agreement in the contract signed earlier. Due to Xia Yu's substandard acting skills, it will affect the filming of the crew. He can tolerate it once or twice, but if it exceeds 3 times, it will be embarrassing. As the chief director, he can kick her out of the crew. Chi Chong held the loudspeaker and commanded, the photography team, props team, and group performance are all ready. The next scene will start in 5 minutes. After finishing speaking, he waved to Chu Zi. Although this kid had made rapid progress, there were no lines in this scene. I decided to tell him a few more scenes, and it would be up to him to comprehend as much as he could. Chu Zi had a background in science and technology, and the director's lectures were similar to what he had in mind, but more comprehensive. After listening, my mind suddenly opened up. As a director, he can't be biased, can he? Anyway, it was also Xia Yu's first scene. After thinking for a moment, Chi Chong pulled Xia Yu over and told her about the scene. Xia Yu, this scene is a formal collision between Mu Wushuang and Shen Luo. With this scene, both of you have no lines. Can you control your emotions well? It's very important. He is not as straightforward as telling Chu Zi, he just wants to test Xia Yu. Xia Yu knew everything and nodded in gratitude, thank you for being late. Because there were no lines in this scene, the time for the play was omitted. At this point, the vast majority of people are approaching. Xia Yu could feel that all the attention on the scene was focused on her, and there was no way she could do it. This scene was crucial to her, whether it is the return of the king or the fleeting fireworks of a street mouse can be seen from this scene. The director made a gesture. Record making board. End of this chapter. Chapter 4. Acting Skills. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 4 Acting Skills, Unit 4, Act 1, Scene 1, Action. After writing the biography of the Twilight Unmatched character, Xia Yu began to try to take on the role. She had practiced with the camera, but she didn't feel good and always felt a bit lacking in meaning. It wasn't until 2 or 3 cameras were set up that she suddenly felt a sensation. At the moment when the plot was written, the actor playing Lu Xing noticed that Xia Yu's overall temperament had undergone some slight changes. Not only was she not notewortly, but she was also constantly weakening her sense of existence. How could she enter the state in such a short time? As the script was written, Shen Luo and Jiang Enai walked into the restaurant, with the number 1 aircraft behind them. They rushed to the photographer and said, "Give Xia Yu a close-up." Xia Yu was already pondering how to act before. Mu Wushuang is not an ordinary person, and her childhood experience has also made her develop a kind of mentality that Mount Taishan will collapse in front of her. Suddenly, I saw Shen Luo, the only confidant of my elder brother's life, but also the enemy who killed him. She certainly promised her brother not to seek revenge, but he happened to get involved in her own mission. How should she handle herself? Her state of mind is undoubtedly chaotic, and how to reflect the emotion of disorder is very particular. Using eyes and expressions is obviously the best way to express it, but this does not apply. She had envisioned many plans, but ultimately used the clumsy yet most obscure one that best suited her. The unparalleled character in the script setting is left-handed, but not many people know about it, so much so that she didn't even realize that she, who has always shown her right hand to others, was picking up chopsticks with her left hand at this moment. Just before she picked up the food, she suddenly paused. With just a small gesture, Mu Wushuang's first emotional and artistic conception of seeing Shen Luo was expressed. Pretty Xia Yu's move made Chi Chong behind the monitor slap her thigh. With a loud bang, some people around looked over, unsure why. Crew member. A face full of confusion. I lit a cigarette late and my smile suddenly became a bit wild. You know, a hammer. He pursed his lips. After all, the fact that she is left-handed will only be revealed in the subsequent plot. In this scene, Xia Yu's performance was not particularly stunning, only in a stable word. In the following shots, she portrayed the sense of crisis in Mu Wushuang's current situation, the grief she felt when talking about her brother with others, and a hint of hidden hatred toward Shen Luo. After a scene, Chi Chong's heart was already filled with a little surprise and he shouted, "Over." This scene is considered a thing of the past. Many stunts and group performances haven't figured out what's going on yet, but after a few minutes, they haven't gone wrong, and that's how it went. Only a few actors with a background in science and years of acting experience know that the scene just now was not easy. They could do it, but it was difficult for them to pass through. The collision between gaze emotions was difficult to control. To put it simply, without dialogue, if one doesn't perform well, it's easy to become a facial paralysis or a staring monster. This requires facial expressions and body language to support it. It's called acting. Not every lead actor in the crew can do it, among them Lin Yong, who played Jiang Enai, is one. Lu Xingyan was just a background board and couldn't tell 1, 2, or 3. The lead actor Chu Zi had a director who started a small stove, and also had his own acting bonus, which is reasonable. But Xia Yu, who had not taken on any acting for 2 years and had not continued her studies at the Imperial Academy of Film, surprisingly passed it all. Both Lu Jingxian, who played the first female lead, and Zhang Sun, who played the second female lead, saw a sense of crisis in each other's eyes. Their eyes met, and they all had smiles on their faces. It seems we need to put in more effort, don't be overshadowed by her after the TV broadcast. I played the second female lead, and if I was suppressed, I would be suppressed. You played the first female lead, and it would be funny if you were suppressed. As for small actions, both of them are disdainful, but most importantly, they dare not. If there is an accident on the Wei Jingqing crew, perhaps no top crew would dare to invite them in the future. Being able to join this crew, no one is not the same as their peers who value acting in appearance equally. They all have their own pride, making small moves is not enough. The following scenes, it also confirms the ideas of many people: summer depression comes with preparation. The filming is still ongoing. This scene is the official collision after Shen Luo realized that there was something wrong with the woman and gradually discovered her identity as the Twilight Unmatched. Under the night, the long streets and alleys were filled with an eerie atmosphere, without particularly intense martial arts scenes. The four of them brushed past each other, creating a visual impact that could no longer be dull. Especially at the corner, Xia Yuyu's hairpin fell and shattered in response, and the two turned around to look at each other. She curled her lips perfectly and smiled, nodded slightly, and finally gave a meaningful look. The two male actors who played against Xia Yu almost missed the next moment. This scene was not in the script, and the actor was directly led away, but the filming result was surprisingly good. Most of the onlookers on the set couldn't see where the magic was, but they couldn't pick any flaws and insisted on using one word to express themselves, probably, naturally. Everyone ignored her beauty and only saw the burst of acting skills at that moment. A knowledgeable person, looking at Xia Yu's eyes flickered slightly, couldn't help but exclaim that there were indeed two brushes, especially those eyes, as if they had 30.6 teeth, they could speak. Meng Dong also leaned in after finishing his current work. She didn't see the first scene, but after watching this one, her little fists couldn't help but clench. The amazement in her dark eyes was not concealed, and she was amazed by Xia Yu's appearance and acting skills. Woo 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 woo, my girlfriend is also amazing. It's just that the production team has regulations that prohibit unauthorized filming, otherwise she really wants to capture this scene as a memento. Usually, the production team has a dedicated person in charge to shoot behind the scenes and use it as a promotional gimmick. However, the production team under Wei Jingqing Studio hardly does this. Why do you have the confidence of being the top producer of Chinese TV dramas? Chu Ziyi's performance is good, but Xia Yu is even more eye-catching. Compared to the period of the misty reign of the Republic of China, it may seem like there is a little less spirituality, but the acting skills have taken it to the next level. After these scenes, many people's gaze towards Xia Yu changed. One is in terms of acting skills. Whether it's the implicit gratitude towards Lu Xing's performance, or the complexity towards Shen Luo, the resentment that cannot be expressed or made public, or even the murderous intent that is implicit but not revealed, all are portrayed perfectly, even to some extent driving Chu Ziyi, whose expressive power is not yet mature. To be honest, among the actors of the same age present, it is difficult for her to achieve this step unless she performs exceptionally well. The other one is in terms of attitude. Anyone can see that after 2 years of accumulation, Xia Yu, who used to be sharp, has learned to restrain himself. Regardless of whether one's true personality has changed or not, the acting he is pretending to do at the moment is really impeccable. She has a strong talent for acting herself. If it weren't for being snowed away for 2 years, with her footsteps, she would have already stepped into the big screen. Also, there are opinions from everyone. I will make corrections when I see the correct words and sentences. After making the necessary changes, there may be a situation where the chapter says it is missing. It was not my intention to delete it, but I basically won't delete the comments. End of this chapter. Chapter 5. Goodwill. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 5 Goodwill. As for the so-called black material on her body, it is not a fatal stain. It was just due to the criticism from fans behind a few actors at the time, causing a huge uproar. It was at the forefront of the entertainment industry's rectification efforts, and it was criticized by name and hidden by its own agency. Does the internet have memory? As long as it does not involve XXXX, then there is none. In 2 years, many things have also faded away. If it weren't for nodding, Xia Yu wouldn't have appeared on the set. Many people are pondering whether to make appropriate contact, establish good relationships, and have multiple friends and paths. There is still a part of her persistence that she cannot whitewash. If one day it goes viral again, you can still get a familiar face. Shit, do you think the entertainment industry is your own laundry, and if you want to bleach it, just bleach it? The entertainment industry updates too quickly, and every year batches of outstanding talents squeeze their heads in and sharpen their heads. Without continuous work in hand, one will soon be beaten to death on the beach by the waves and forgotten. This year, the new generation of 4 little flower dancers and 4 little students has been announced. Originally, Xiaoyu had a high voice. With just 2 years of accumulation and a few more works, there must be a place for her. Now, if you want to catch up with that group of people, you may have to take a rocket to have a chance. Xiaoyu's performances in these few scenes today, combined with his performance on the production team, even Chi Chong, who had some opinions about Xiaoyu in his heart, muttered to himself, "Are you too small in scale?" Especially when he thought of the blank look she suddenly added, he was so excited that he slapped his thigh twice. But it's not too late to make up for the lost sheep, and he's not that rigid person either. After finishing work, Chi Chong first filmed 3 male actors, and then expressed his admiration to Xiaoyu. "You performed well. After 2 years, your acting skills did not decline, continue to work hard. There is no taboo. If Xiaoyu wants to continue in this industry, some things are always insurmountable. If she cannot overcome this hurdle herself, similar things may happen in the future." As for the scene just added, Chi Chong doesn't think there's anything bad about it. As long as it's not a last-minute change of dialogue, snatching and dominating the scene, the actors can have this kind of performance that elevates the character, which is something that all directors are happy to see. Chi Chong's inner evaluation of Xiaoyu is as follows. It's not difficult to make a comeback, to be a down-to-earth actress. With her appearance and talent, there are always scenes to play, and she's a good seedling. But it's difficult to regain the popularity of 2 years ago. The scene of turning around the corner was only conceived by Xiaoyu while he was in the restaurant. Mu Wushuang has never been a passive person. Realizing the danger, passive waiting is not her nature, so she added this scene privately, which can be considered as a provocation or alternative probing initiated by Mu Wushuang. So when the two passed by, Xiaoyu whispered to Chu Zi, asking him to remember to turn back later. Sure enough, the effect is very good. To be honest, Chu Zi had a gambling element, but in just that moment, when the two turned the corner and looked at each other, he seemed to really see Mu Wushuang. At that moment, he almost integrated into the role of Shen Luo, which was his first time in this period of time. His acting skills suddenly exceeded the standard, and he entered the play. This is not simple, unless one has extremely strong talent. The vast majority of actors may not have such a scene in a whole play. It has to be said that Xiaoyu has made great contributions. With the filming of this day's scenes, he really had a great change in his view of Xiaoyu. After Chi Chong finished his cliché as, Chu Zi also smiled at Xiaoyu and said, "The filming went smoothly today. I really want to thank my senior sister for that scene just now. Both of them are students from the Imperial Academy of Film, and in terms of their relationship, they are indeed 3 points closer than others." Xiaoyu only took advantage of the situation by leading a play. She was very invested at the time and didn't want to disrupt the acting atmosphere. She called for a temporary halt and discussed the details again. Xiaoyu didn't refuse his offer and smiled, "You're welcome, Junior. It's still my own acting that's in place." If it weren't for Xiaoyu taking the initiative to lead the show, Chu Zi's talent would probably have taken some time to polish and further develop. With today's director's special introduction, he really learned a lot of skills from it, so he smiled and said, "Thank you for the director's guidance today. Tonight's midnight snack will be credited to my account." Woohoo, thank you, Z. Being able to finish work smoothly and on time, as well as staying up late, naturally made everyone smile happily. When the crew has finished packing up, everyone returns to the hotel separately. Getting off the car, Chi Chong just met Xiaoyu. The original shooting schedule was supposed to be notified by the theater management, but after a few scenes today, Chi Chong had a significant change in his view of Xiaoyu, so he didn't shy away from it. The performance of this play was good today, but for the next 2 weeks, we will be shooting 2 more unit scenes. Your scenes will be ranked last by unit. If you have something to do, I can grant you leave. Just don't be late then. People are bound to be strong, and Xia Yu has also experienced privilege from the original owner's memory. She said it's okay, she can just figure out the role. Speaking, as if thinking of something, Chi Chong suddenly added this sentence. If you have nothing else to do, I can say hello to the martial arts instructor. You can use these 2 weeks to ask them for advice. This passage by Chi Chong surprised her a bit. It's not cheap to hire a professional martial arts instructor, and those who can be hired by Wei Jingqing Studio are even more expensive than frontline actors. This can be said to be the director's personal suggestion. Although Everyone's Ultimate Beauty is not a professional martial arts film, it can be regarded as a martial arts film with a large number of martial arts scenes. Wei Jingqing Studio is also known for its strictness. Except for some extremely professional actions that require stunts, most martial arts actions require actors to personally perform. Whether one can stand out in these martial arts scenes and take the characters to the next level is one of the significance of martial arts guidance. In addition to the leading actor, the supporting role of the entire drama team can also get a day or two of training before shooting. The martial arts moves are more, at most a week. But now she has been allowed to take 2 weeks of classes, which is of great significance. Although one can imagine that it will inevitably be even harder, how could Xia Yu refuse? Xia Yu blinked in surprise. Don't be a motherly woman. If you have it, you have it. If you don't, you can pull it down. As is well known. Director Chi Chong is a hot-tempered person. If you have time, please ask Director Chi for help. I'll treat Director Chi to dinner later. Of course, Xia Yu was grateful for the director's advice. As for inviting Director Chi to dinner, it's true or false. Most likely, the other party won't come, but their attitude must be done properly. What is this called? This is called worldly wisdom. Hey, Chi Chong nodded in satisfaction and snorted, I'll skip the meal. Don't let any more rumors come out later. That's not enough for me to be so upset. Alright, you've been tired all day too. Remember to pay attention to your messages when you go back. I'll say hello later and have my assistant contact you. Xia Yu nodded and said, okay. Seeing Chi Chong off, Xia Yu glances around, puts on a mask and leaves the hotel to find a Luosafen store. The store is not big, but the taste doesn't sting. The crew has meals, and it's hard to resist Xia Yu's large appetite. Boss, a bowl of Luosafen, 3 liang. Xia Yu bought a Luosafen and added an egg as a reward. The boss didn't watch much either. There were quite a few celebrities from the 18th to the first line of the film and television base, and wearing a mask was normal. It was this weight that made him couldn't help but touch his nose twice. However, when he saw Xia Yu, he immediately understood. Not to mention that this thing is quite impressive, it's not something she likes to eat. It's all the original owner's pot, and it's nothing to do with her. Is it necessary to add a cup of milk tea? She is very conflicted. Tut, what kind of family? It's not enough to eat a bowl of Luosafen and an egg, but also drink milk tea. After leaving the door, I turned around and entered the nearby milk tea shop, with a familiar pace. Just as she returned to her hotel room, before she could change clothes, a palm-sized, pure black-haired little thing pounced on her face. Despite its small size, the force was really strong. With just one thrust, it almost knocked out her nose from the original manufacturer's factory. Woo-woo, end of this chapter. Chapter 6. Termination of Contract. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 6 Termination of Contract. She gave the little guy a brain teaser. Laughed unhappily. You can give me a light push next time. Even though my nose bridge is high, it can't withstand you making it like this. Although it didn't cause any substantial harm to it, the little one still pretended to be nestled in Xia Yu's arms, whimpering. No, meowing for half a day. Xia Yu looked disdainful and said, "What do you think of a boy acting spoiled all day?" But she can't refuse. "Hey, it's just very nice." At the same time, with a ding sound, a familiar system interface appeared in front of her. Name: Xia Yu. Age: 21, life. 24, unlocking achievement. 0 out of 5, unlock course. 0/XXX, unlocking achievement rewards. None, evaluation. You have perfectly inherited 99% of the original owner's acting talent, but the revolution has not yet been successful, and comrades still need to work hard. For each achievement unlocked, in addition to receiving other rewards, there is an additional lifespan of at least 5 years, up to a maximum of 50 years. Xia Yu points into the literature and art course. At the top of the page, there is a string of numbers 30,000, which is exactly the artistic score. She will have about 10 episodes in this play, and her agent paid her a post-tax salary of 100,000 yuan by brushing her face. Generally, it's 3 to 7, and she can only receive the second half after the scenes are completed. This is the actual remuneration she is currently receiving. Of course, after deducting the commission from this 100,000 yuan salary, the maximum amount that can be put into her pocket is 10,000 yuan. Fortunately, this sum is not directly transferred to the agency, otherwise according to Yuanbao's past urine nature, it is highly likely to enrich her private pocket. After browsing through the course once, Xia Yu decided to close it and looked at Yuanbao, giving it another brain teaser. "We've been together for so many years, but the problem with buckle search still can't be corrected. I really want to put his head in his mouth and suffocate the little guy." "Well, you'd better eat a luoxifen before you put it in his mouth." As for how many years they have been together, Xia Yu shrugged, "Who knows? I have no memory inside." 30,000 points is quite a bit, isn't it? It's only enough to learn a language, can't it be played? Complaints come from complaints. She still talks a lot about this guy. Holding Yuanbao, who also had amnesia and couldn't even speak, only knew how to meow and act coquettishly, he entered the restroom. Allow Yuanbao to act coquettishly around her neck. Xia Yu began to remove her makeup. After unloading her makeup and taking a shower, Yuanbao had already fallen asleep on her pillow. Taking a strong breath of cat breath and causing a commotion for a while, the little one finally opened her phone with satisfaction. Xia Yu was accustomed to silence, and the mental burden brought by the original owner still cannot be changed. Sure enough, 3 or 4 missed calls were all from her agent, Tao Tang. In addition, there was another push, and her eyes immediately narrowed. #actor Cheng Yun terminates contract with Xingtang Media and joins Tianhe Era. After a few seconds of silence, Xia Yucai twisted her hair with a dry towel and dialed the other person, casually turning on the hands-free button. The phone rang 7 or 8 times before the other person answered. "I heard you performed well today. How are you doing? It's been 2 years since you acted, are you still used to it?" "Not bad." Xia Yu smiled and said, "Sister Tang, I begged you to come back, so naturally I am prepared." Tao Tang is 34 years old this year and also comes from the Imperial Film Academy. Later, he was admitted to the First Imperial University for further studies, with an EMBA master's degree and a senior agent. As mentioned earlier, Tao Tang has led 2 artists, but both have achieved considerable success. One is Summer Depression, and the other is Cheng Yun. Xia Yu goes without saying much, with top-notch black traffic. Cheng Yun was one of the 4 little flowers of the previous year and had already won the Best Actress award at the Golden Statue Awards the previous year. Tao Tang was once praised as the gold medal agent with the most business vision, and the 2 artists in his hands are both treasure troves. I heard that Yunjie has terminated her contract with the company. There were some things that Xia Yu felt there was no need to keep hidden. The phone was quiet for several seconds, and after a while, Tao Tang let out a sound. Perhaps afraid of thinking too much on a summer night, she said again, "It's not your fault. Qing Yun is excellent, but it's because Xingtang is too small and resources cannot supply two big flowers. It's only a matter of time before she leaves. Qing Yun was also brought up by Tao Tang alone, several years longer than Xiaoyu. Both of them have a steady temperament, and they have always had a good understanding of each other. But soon after, the misty reign of the Republic of China was broadcasted and became extremely popular, with Xiaoyu directly entering the forefront. Compared to that, Qing Yun's popularity in the film industry has faded, and she has not had strong cooperation in awards in the future, so her commercial value is not high. Xiaoyu actually became the cash cow of the prosperous Tang dynasty, and the senior management directly ordered Tao Tang to focus all his energy on Xiaoyu. Qing Yun had a dispute with the company over this matter, and it naturally came to an end. If it weren't for repaying Tao Tang's kindness, Qing Yun would have left long ago. Xiaoyu thought to herself, "You're quite an excellent little girl. She's more sensible and worry-free than the original owner, but everything is too important." Tao Tang is also right. Qing Yun's departure is inevitable, sooner or later. There is another high-achieving actress in the prosperous Tang dynasty, who, although in her 30s, has always had good box office and reputation. Just 2 years ago, she was overshadowed by Xiaoyu. In the past 2 years, Qing Yun has been able to compete, but she is not interested anymore. Tao Tang has a strong ability to manage emotions. After speaking, he smiled with relief. "We just walked too smoothly. With all these hardships right now, it's not necessarily a bad thing. But you don't have to worry about these things, just focus on filming." The two talked for a while again. Before putting down the phone, Tao Tang also instructed Xiaoyu, "You have time to call your uncle and aunt more often, and remember to take care of Yuanbao. Don't starve the little one, and don't hesitate to feed snacks. I will reimburse you." Xiaoyu smiled and said, "How dare you starve my little ancestor?" In the end, Xiaoyu didn't say anything comforting, neither of them needed it. Xiaoyu was not a sentimental person before, otherwise he wouldn't have earned the title of quick-wearing salted fish. It's just that the original owner's experience fused her too thoroughly, and she was depressed for a long time because of it. It took her half a year to come out, and occasionally recalling that memory can still be overwhelming and suffocating. Now, we have basically come out. I am a black caste actor who is struggling to protect myself. What's bothering me? I have a full meal and knock my teeth when I have nothing to do, and I'm just looking for trouble. Prepare the food for the little guy, kill a large bowl of luocefen and a large cup of milk tea, squint with satisfaction, and watch the little guy hide far away, snorting and eating dried fish. Bashi. Sort out the garbage. On the arrangement of the facial mask hand mask, after listening to the children's songs, I didn't see the messy gossip news anymore. I turned over the script and had a rest. The next afternoon, Chi Chang's assistant sent her a text message, saying that he had helped her say hello and asked her to go to another private fitness studio that the crew had already rented before 6:30 a.m. tomorrow morning. He also instructed her not to be late, as the elderly don't like waiting for others. Xiaoyu. Old man. On that day. 5:30 a.m. in the morning. Xiaoyu put on a loose sportswear and put on a coat before going out. It's quite cool in the northwest in March. Late spring cold. Xiaoyu even bought breakfast and rushed downstairs to the studio where the address was located. Looking at the time, it's 6:15. It took about half an hour to see an old and a young person appear from the corner of the street. The old man glanced faintly at Xiaoyu, who was wearing a neat and tidy ponytail. Without accommodating Xiaoyu, the old man spoke standard Cantonese and said, "Are you the actor that Chi Chong talked about?" One of the reasons why the original owner enjoyed acting was that he was influenced by Xiangjiang film and television from a young age. Although Huliang and Guangdong provinces are not close, he can still understand to some extent. He nodded respectfully and said, "Yes, my name is Xiaoyu." "Hello Mr. Liang, thank you for your trouble. There were 3 martial arts instructors who came to the Western film and television base with Chi Chong this time, and Xiaoyu didn't expect that when Chi Chong said hello, it was actually this one. This relationship is quite lacking. End of this chapter. Chapter 7. Guidance. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 7 Guidance. The old man is close to ancient age and is called Liang Chuanzhen. He is a well-known master in the martial arts world of Fucheng and also the overall martial arts director of Wei Jingqing Studio. The other 2 are both his disciples. The old man doesn't speak much. I can feel that Dao's temperament is a bit strange. The child is about 6 or 7 years old, almost identical to the old man in appearance and temperament. Glancing at the breakfast bag in Xiaoyu's hand, she turned her head and played with her fingers. She smiled and said, "Has the old man had breakfast yet?" "I brought some, it's still hot." The old man didn't eat, but his grandson did eat 2 soup dumplings. The old man walked silently, with a child following behind him, and Xiaoyu didn't ask much. Considering the physical condition of his grandson, the old man called and asked someone to pick him up an hour later. After walking around the film and television base, the old man said, "Don't be late tomorrow," and then left. It was the same for the next 3 days. It was not until the 4th day that Xiaoyu entered the studio rented by the production team for several martial arts instructors to work and rest for the first time. It's also a big eye-opening. There are 7 or 8 wooden stakes of different sizes and heights placed in the training hall, and many training aids are embedded on the wall pillars. The elderly and several apprentices have already practiced a circle. A few people greeted each other, but Liang didn't say how to guide her. He sat aside and watched while drinking tea. Of course, the skill of brewing tea was still done by Xiaoyu, a younger generation. However, the old man clearly dared not praise her tea-making skills and frowned more than once. There is a specially crafted small wooden stake in the hall, and the old man and grandson are practicing on the stake. The little guy has a tiger-like head and a tiger-like brain. Even an outsider like Xiaoyu can see that the little guy's posture is very proper, indicating how much Liang Lao is concerned about his grandson. However, this is naturally inseparable from the little guy himself. She couldn't help but sigh. At the age of 6, working so hard would make many young people feel ashamed. Xiaoyu watched like this for 2 days, and on the 6th day, Liang Lao finally asked his disciple to explain to her and began teaching her some simple movements. From this day on, Xiaoyu was officially scheduled to attend classes and began to get busy. "I have to wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning and practice martial arts with my apprentices from Mr. Liang's studio at 6 o'clock. In the afternoon, one of the martial arts instructors dug out the martial arts movements designed by Xiaoyu in this play and began practicing. You have to grit your teeth and persist until 10 p.m. after practicing. The first day was okay, but I felt tired. When I woke up the next morning, my whole body was sore and my bones were about to disperse." Xiaoyu had to grit her teeth and continue. When she arrived at the studio, a female apprentice saw her strange posture and laughed at the careless martial arts instructors. "You haven't had an auxiliary medicinal bath after training, have you? This won't work for you. As a beginner like you, you need to massage appropriately and combine it with a traditional Chinese medicine bath to soothe your muscles, bones, skin, and flesh. Otherwise, your small arms and legs will be unbearable." I also gave several large packets of medicinal herbs. Xiaoyu gritted her teeth and gritted her scalp to finish the day's training. She also specially bought a new plastic bathtub, the hotel bathtub, which she didn't dare to use. I tried the medication bath and sure enough, the next day I felt much more comfortable. After spending a few days together, Xiaoyu finally realized that it wasn't Liang Lao's grandson who was naturally introverted and didn't like to talk, but the little one was suffering from a hidden illness. Regarding this, Xiaoyu, as usual, occasionally takes the initiative to take the little guy around. The full name of the little guy is Liang Guahao. At first, she recognized her life, but later she improved a lot. She had a similar temperament to her younger brother Xia, a skin monkey. I gritted my teeth and persisted in training until the end of the day. After persisting in these days of training, the old man who used to have a stern face towards Xia has somewhat less unpleasant expression. Before bidding farewell, Xia solemnly offered Liang Lao a cup of tea. Liang hesitated for a moment before finally taking the cup of tea. "Time is too short, I can't teach you anything. Remember to practice this set of gossip poems more, otherwise in the future, when fighting people in martial arts movies, I won't be the one who taught it, let alone Liang Chuanjin," he said. Xia only realized that the palm technique he had practiced these days was called Bagua palm, which is not an ancestral tradition of the Liang family. After all, he is not a true disciple, but Bagua palm belongs to the internal martial arts and is more suitable for women. After toasting this cup of tea, Xiao's brief journey of martial arts cultivation came to a successful end. It was at this time that Xiao heard some comments from Liang Lao's female disciple. She was also surprised. "Master didn't originally plan to drink your cup of tea. The meaning is different. I didn't expect that you have really good talent and are willing to endure hardship, so I forced myself to drink it. This is Bengshi tea." Mr. Liang snorted lightly upon hearing these words, which was a sign of agreement. "Thank you, Master. Senior brothers and sisters, for taking care of us these days." Despite Xiao's lack of eloquence, she still expressed her sincere gratitude to the group. As for the issue of talent, the original owner did not have it, perhaps it was the memory talent left by her past, fast-wearing journey. She can basically learn this type of martial arts by watching it a few times. I have never been to the world of martial arts, but the immortal hero has a vague impression. Finally, after strolling with Xiaoguohao, Xiaoyu began preparing to shoot the final scene in the desert. The day before yesterday, Xiaoyu received a notification from the production department that filming would start at 4 a.m. tomorrow morning. Therefore, in the afternoon, she sent Xiaoguohao back to the studio and went back to the hotel to prepare for a break. 2 o'clock in the morning. Xiaoyu woke up naturally before the alarm clock rang, tidied up casually, and went downstairs directly. At this point, the coach arranged by the crew was already waiting at the hotel entrance. In the past 2 weeks, the scenes between the female lead and the second female lead have already been filmed. They left yesterday and rushed to the second group to shoot another scene. It is said that producer Wei Jingqing also stayed for a week and gave some guidance. Unfortunately, he still has a movie on hand at the moment, otherwise he would have personally directed this TV drama. Xiaoyu didn't have any regrets either, she felt there were still opportunities in the future. Not long after she got into the car, Chu Zi and his 3 assistants rushed over one after another. They are all young actors, not counting Chu Zi. The other 2 are mostly supporting role, not even second-tier actors. Naturally, their respective companies can't have any nanny cars to arrange transportation. "Long time no see, Xiaoyu. I heard that you have been training at Liang's guidance studio recently. How have you been? Have you been going smoothly?" As the actor playing Jiang Anai, Lin Yong was the first to speak up, and his words became much more lively. It is obvious that Xiaoyu's story of going through the back door once again has spread throughout the production team. Xiaoyu didn't shy away and smiled. "It's okay, you guys. The filming went smoothly, right?" "I'm okay," Lin Yong yawned. "Other things, let Z talk to you. I can't hold on anymore. I'm getting older, I need to catch up on my sleep. But it seems like there's a big deal going on." Xiaoyu looked at Chu Zi. "What's going on?" "Not very good, there was an accident yesterday." Chu Zi had dark circles under his eyes, which showed that he had been staying up late to film these days. He sighed and said, "The prop team was negligent, which caused Weiya to have an accident. My double was injured a bit, but fortunately it wasn't serious." Chu Zi didn't dare to think much, and could only constantly be grateful that the substitute reacted promptly, otherwise it might not be as simple as getting a minor injury. Xia Yu could feel Chu Zi's obvious fear and patted his shoulder. It's not your responsibility, don't think too much, take advantage of the time to rest a little longer. They didn't finish work until almost 12 o'clock yesterday, and they slept for less than 2 hours. They wished they could break 1 minute into 2 and go to sleep. Chu Zi forced a smile and didn't forget to remind Xiaoyu. Director Chi Chong got very angry about this incident. Senior sister, please be careful yourself. Don't accidentally hit the muzzle of the gun. Xiaoyu nodded and said, okay, I understand. End of this chapter. Chapter 8. Spreading Fire. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 8. Spreading fire. Staying up late for a long time to film can easily lead to hormonal imbalances, flammability, and explosions. Last night, this incident caused Chi Chong's temper to soar and he became very angry. The entire production team followed suit, and the head of the props team was directly transferred. At 3 a.m., the atmosphere on set was somewhat oppressive, and everyone was cautious, afraid of accidentally touching a late shot point, which would bang and blow themselves to the core. Xia Yu got off the car and ran into Chi Chong. Are you back? Then hurry up and go change your clothes first. Come over later to familiarize yourself with the venue, and we need to queue up first. His face was not very good, his throat was a bit hoarse, and he was very angry, but he didn't even reach the point of catching someone and throwing fire. He greeted Xia Yu and started directing the set with a small loudspeaker. Xia Yu nodded. Not long after changing clothes, the actor who played Lady Qingshan also arrived. He Qin. Recognized as the #1 beauty in mainland costume. This performer is quite impressive, having won several small screen gold cups, but compared to her acting skills, her beauty is even more renowned. However, this person is not very utilitarian and has been secretly married for the past 2 years. Currently, they are in a semi-reclusive state. If it weren't for Wei Jingqing Studio, a typical production company wouldn't be able to hire her people. She only reported to the production team a week ago, and this scene was also her last in the desert. After filming, she changed scenes. Xia Yu looks at others, and they also look at Xia Yu. Not only is she beautiful, but she is also very polite. Afraid of worrying about Xia Yu's embarrassment, she proactively reached out and smiled. Hello, are you Xia Yu? I am He Qin. I have watched your TV drama and acted very well. We have a pleasant cooperation. Xia Yu was a bit surprised. It wasn't for the role, and she didn't expect this one to greet her, but she wasn't familiar and didn't say much. Hello teacher He, I am Xia Yu. Have a pleasant cooperation. Waiting for He Qin to finish her makeup, Xia Yu was even more amazed. People are truly beautiful, not because their facial features and bones are superior. When it comes to facial features and bones, Xia Yu is superior. He Qin may exuded an elegant and intellectual temperament, especially after changing into costumes. The beauty of Lady Qingshan's lingering charm rushed towards her. Tisk, it's so beautiful that it bubbles up. Xia Yu couldn't help but stare for a while. The makeup group is divided into several groups, and Meng Dong's group left with her a few days ago. Before leaving, the little girl even visited Xia Yu's class. So Xia Yu's makeup artist changed to a different person, but fortunately, the makeup was already predetermined, and there was not much difference in who changed. After Xia Yu finished her makeup, the entire set had already been put to life. Perhaps it was yesterday's accident, and all personnel were particularly careful and cautious, along with the improvement of Chi Chong's complexion. Waiting for all the actors to finish their makeup, Chi Chong led them through a rough rehearsal. This scene involves many things that Xia Yu had not personally encountered before, especially the mechanisms set in the plot, which require the cooperation of the prop team. The scene of several people fighting and lightness skills still needs to go to Weiya. At this point, Chi Chong's face darkened again, and he was about to shout hoarse. The prop team has checked it multiple times for me. If there are any problems this time, I'll get rid of them all. I don't need to stay in this circle anymore. After confirming multiple times that all the props are fine and the safety factor meets the standard, the filming officially begins. Unit 4, Scene XX, Action. Playing drama is not as simple as pure literary drama. It not only relies on the actor's acting skills, but also tests the director's ability to control and interpret the camera. Therefore, the filming stops and there is no one that goes through, wasting a lot of time and making the face even more gloomy. This scene left the actors in a miserable state of struggle, regardless of whether they were newcomers or hachin, they didn't receive special treatment. Without a substitute, they should fall and be in a state of embarrassment. Until 6:30 in the morning, under the watchful eye of the late rush high pressure, it finally passed smoothly. Click. It's over. Ha. A group of people breathed a sigh of relief and then, with a whimper, a group of assistants rushed up. The scene in the Hachin desert officially ends here. However, the role of Xiaoyu in the desert has just begun. Chi Chong picked up the speaker and said, "Everyone, prepare to have breakfast. After finishing, rest in place for half an hour." No one clamored and worked hard. They all gritted their teeth and endured. But today's breakfast was very rich. Xiaoyu was a little worried about his face, but his hands were not light. He cooked 2 bowls in Chu Zi's surprised eyes. Chu Zi said, "Senior sister, you really can eat." Xiaoyu awkwardly and politely smiled elegantly, saying, "Junior, you're really a vegetable." At 7:10 p.m., filming continues. When playing against Chu Zi, Xiaoyu realized that after only 2 weeks of absence, this junior's acting skills had become more and more proficient. After a scene, it may not be exciting, but I already have my own understanding of the character Shen Luo. Okay, I haven't seen you for 2 weeks. I've shown my acting skills. Chu Zi smiled foolishly, and after a few scenes, he finally relaxed a bit. A few people also noticed Xiaoyu's alternative attraction. They had never filmed a fight scene together before and were worried that Xiaoyu might make mistakes frequently when playing. However, they didn't expect that Xiaoyu not only played well, but also played very beautifully. The first 2 weeks of martial arts training showed significant results. Chi Chang's eyebrows were also slightly G. Although he didn't ask Xiaoyu, Liang and his 2 apprentices often went to the production team for guidance and occasionally talked about Xiaoyu's situation. It has to be said that this little girl has a bit of talent, and most importantly, she can bite her teeth and endure the hardships of polishing. This surprised Chi Chong. It was really rare to receive praise from Mr. Liang. Today's scene came to an end, and Xiaoyu finally found the opportunity to express gratitude to Chi Chong, having a cliché conversation. She smiled and said, "When Mr. Chi has time, I'll treat him to dinner. Listening too late, I want to roll my eyes. Why do I feel uneasy as I listen more and more? Okay, I'm always waiting. Which big prize will treat me to a big meal someday?" However, in Chi Chang's gaze at Xiaoyu, there was a noticeable increase in appreciation. Xiaoyu nodded solemnly and said, "Success." Then Xiaoyu delved into it with all her heart, pondering how to integrate the next scenes well. Pai de Shi is different from practicing gossip palms, standing up, practicing martial arts movements, and sword dancing in a studio. It also needs to be connected and integrated with the scene to avoid appearing on stage. Occasionally, it also requires the addition of hanging weiya, which is too difficult. Before hanging weiya, Xiaoyu was guided alone for most of the day, and only then did she start acting when she became more proficient. These experiences were not available to the original owner, and everything had to be explored by Xiaoyu himself. Fortunately, Xiaoyu had strong adaptability and was really able to endure hardships. At first, he was not used to causing NG, but after 2 days, he could basically master them. After a few scenes, even though they were wearing weiya clothes and the protective measures were in place, they still left marks on their bodies. When changing clothes, the temporary assistant arranged by the production team helped to change the costumes and couldn't help but take a deep breath. Xia Yu belongs to that kind of cold white skin, and even the slightest strangulation is obvious, let alone this big picture. Hiss, this is a bit too serious. Should we call a doctor over to take a look? Otherwise, it would be better to add an extra piece of clothing to the Weiya suit. Injuries in martial arts scenes are inevitable, and the Wei Jingqing production team has always been generous in this regard, specifically hiring doctors to join the team. Xia Yu endured the pain and shook her head. I have already applied some medicine. After taking the photos, I will rest for a while. There is no need to add clothes. Adding more will not produce good shooting results, and I will have to take them off later. Thank you. A week later, all the scenes in the desert were announced to be over. As a newcomer who needed to adapt, the filming time was 4 or 5 days longer than expected. The Jiangnan Xiangshan film and television base had already set a time, which compressed the remaining time. After filming in the early morning, the crew members hung their hearts in their throats and finally fell heavily. Chi Chong only said a few words of gratitude, as he had to meet with another crew in the afternoon, so he asked everyone to quickly go back to the hotel to pack their luggage and book a flight around 6 o'clock in the morning. Xia Yu doesn't have much luggage, only a few sets of daily items. The troublesome one is yuanbao, which cannot be reimbursed by the production team. Therefore, Xia Yu has to handle the pet check.in on her own. Fortunately, yuanbao is not an ordinary cat, otherwise, Xia Yu really wouldn't dare to check it in casually. When getting off the plane, everyone could clearly feel the temperature rising, but time was running out and they didn't take off their down jackets. A bustling group of people on the set. However, the production team in Jiangnan had frequent exchanges, and after being surprised, they became accustomed to it. Which crew is this? What movie was it made? A TV series. Many sharp-smelling paparazzi have already noticed Chi Chong, one of the 3 directors of Wei Jingqing Studio. I also quickly noticed Chu Zi, the 3 of them with excellent height and appearance, and without hesitation, I immediately took photos. Fortunately, this crew is composed of young actors with little fame. If it were to be replaced by Hachin, they would have been surrounded long ago. Xia Yu covered herself tightly, dragging a small suitcase and carrying a cat cage, hiding in the crowd. It's really not that she looks up to herself. Once the news of her comeback spreads, it may cause a black wind. She'd better stay low-key for now. End of this chapter. Chapter 9. Inviting guests. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 9. Inviting guests. Jiangnan Xiangshan Film and Television Base. Per Capita Stunning was filmed in 5 units, with over 10 locations. Due to scheduling issues with the actors, the filming was divided into 2 groups in order to be completed within the preset period. After working hard for a month and a half, the 2 production teams finally got together in mid-April. Xia Yu and others also met Chen Chuan, the director of the second production team who was responsible for filming supporting role. Seeing Chi Chong, he was relieved and looked at Chu Zi and other new actors with a smile. I've heard Lao Chi praise you all in the group, scratching your ears and cheeks for a month and a half, and finally we have the opportunity to cooperate. Chen's introduction is too heavy. The crowd showed great anxiety, and no one dared to take it as a tonic. After the merger, Chi Chong announced that everyone would be disbanded in place. You should rest and be busy, but don't forget that there will be a reception banquet at night, where Wei Dao treats guests. Don't be late for me. Then they hurriedly ran with the crew members. Wei Jingqing treated guests to a meal, but how many people in the circle could refuse? The entire crew was almost in a state of cheers. What should I do after cheering? Xia Yu and others were already exhausted that morning. They had been busy all night and only squinted for a while on the plane. They didn't have any other thoughts and went back to the hotel to rest quickly. In the evening, the legendary top producer finally appeared. His other play is also in Jiangnan, but it was filmed at the Hengzhen Film and Television Base and is about to be completed, so he happened to have time to come over. After the completion of the shooting, I will probably be able to come over frequently to guide the shooting in the future. This tycoon has always only filmed official dramas, and each one is deeply loved and recognized by the people. Before the original owner died, his seniority was still shallow. Unless he was a supporting role, it would be hard for the two to have a chance to cooperate. Xia Yu occasionally sees news on news media, award ceremonies, and other programs, and it's the first time she's seen a real person. Wei Jingqing was nearly 40 years old, wearing glasses and a very gentle Shandong man. He was slightly shorter than Chu Zi, who was 184, about 1.8 meters tall. However, he had a strong aura and spoke with a hint of talent. Many girls present cast admiring gazes. Celebrities treating guests to meals is not just about finding a hotel to deal with. They just rented a fish farm nearby and invited hundreds of people from all over the production team to have a tooth sacrifice, making up for the missed meal during the opening ceremony. The culture of Chinese dining and drinking is very particular, and the seating arrangement is a university question. The arrangement of seats is determined based on the status of actors and staff in the production team, rather than just sitting at any table you want. The main table is naturally the focus of the dinner, with the producer, 2 directors, 2 leading actors, and a guest of weight, not to mention the first few. The weighty guests are He Qin, who holds an extraordinary position in the industry, as well as Qing Jiqing, an old actor who plays Shen Zhaojun. This is a national treasure-level actor and an ordinary person who doesn't make a name for himself. The rest are several investment representatives who have collaborated on the production. The next table was Xia Yu, their main supporting role. The appearance of Xia Yu did not cause much reaction. It has been more than a month since joining the group, and it has been spreading for a long time. There are very few people who take the initiative to greet her, even if no one doesn't know her, most of them remain silent and don't want to cause trouble. After the drinks and dishes were served, Wei Jingqing stood up and spoke. I couldn't work with everyone for over a month before. Wei apologized for not being able to work with everyone here. In the coming months, I will definitely make up for the filming of everyone's beauty. I hope we can have a pleasant cooperation at that time, and I also wish our drama can surpass Wei Jingqing's previous viewing records, and everyone can go viral. Watch Changhong. Red and Purple. Everyone stood up to pay their respects, and in an instant, the atmosphere of the entire dinner party became lively. The crew of Wei Jingqing is different from the average mediocre crew. Of course, having a good meal is the most important thing. If you can drink alcohol, just drink it. If you can't drink it, and there is a scene to be filmed the next morning, from top to bottom, just take a sip, which is considered to be in place. If it were to be replaced by other chaotic crew members, not throwing the lead actor out and convincing these producers and investors, this wine party wouldn't be over. The banquet starts at 8 p.m. and ends at 11 p.m. Everyone should return to the hotel around 12 o'clock. Just as everyone was about to take a break, a Weibo push suddenly exploded, igniting most of the Weibo posts. In just a few minutes, a still-up night owl wind flooded into Weibo. All of a sudden, many media studios were as excited as chicken blood, saying, "Let's live, let's live." End of this chapter. Chapter 10. Earthquakes. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 10 Earthquakes # latest stills of Xia Yu ## suspected of Xia Yu's comeback ## boycott Xia Yu. Actress Xia Yu, slapping people on set and forcing them to kneel down video #the heat gradually increased from the beginning, but after a while, it squeezed into the top 15. In just a few minutes, 3 of the top 15 trending articles on Weibo were occupied by Xia Yu, so it's only a matter of time before reaching the top. Isn't Xia Yu banned? What's going on now? He's out for activities again. Who is Xia Yu? Oh, I remember, she, Qin Su, who starred in The Misty Reign of the Republic of China. The period when Xia Yu first possessed him was the most miserable time when he was sprayed. He was confused and his mind was almost filled with Xia Yu's hysterical despair. The original owner in his memory was actually not much different from being crazy. Looking at those unbearable insults, with only a little bit of self-reflection left, she occasionally thought of one thing. If it weren't for me being possessed by Xia Yu, this 19-year-old girl would have died in such a late autumn morning, until she was discovered in the morning, and ultimately the rescue was ineffective. When this matter was announced, what kind of face would those self-proclaimed moral fools have? Xia Yu leaned against the bed, looking at the hazy raindrops outside the window, kneading the ingot that needed a lot of sleep, muttering to herself, there are some things that can't be erased in time. Some memories that Xia Yu didn't really want to remember, under this series of push, forcibly surfaced and avoided them. Xia Yu was already prepared. It's just it seems like it came a bit suddenly. Suddenly, I still blindfolded her. She pinched Yuanbao's black and unadorned flesh cushion and cursed it, you said you want me to hone my acting skills, and it's okay for me to attach myself to others. What do you mean by making me fully integrate other people's memories? Can't you afford to play? What's even more annoying is the little one. She couldn't bear to fight. Curse, oh, it doesn't understand. You said you're not angry. She really wanted to suffocate Yuanbao. She sometimes has a moment of confusion, whether she is Xia Yu or that quick-to-wear salted fish. She hesitated and still clicked on Weibo push, the account was a newly registered small account later on. Originally, on the afternoon when Xia Yu woke up, it was cancelled by Tao Tang. She remembers the last Weibo post from the original owner. I used to be immature and did many things that made people difficult and also made others difficult. I'm sorry, I was wrong. But I won't hit someone for no reason, let alone force them to kneel. This Weibo post only received a few likes, but received dozens or even millions of negative reviews. The next day, my assistant went downstairs to pick up takeout and was directly splashed with a bucket of red paint at the entrance of the unit. I was so scared that my assistant resigned on the same day. In just over 10 minutes, a video about boycotting Xia Yu topped the hot search list. This Weibo video has already received over 30,000 likes, and there are even 1,000 or 2,000 comments. It has been reposted for 2,000 or 3,000 times. It was initiated by a Weibo account, but the behind-the-scenes promoter must have found a bunch of Weibo influencers to repost it, otherwise it wouldn't have reached the top so quickly. The video is quite long, several minutes long, divided into 3 main segments, and there is still a title, counting the several sins of Xia Yu also with dubbing. The first paragraph is less than 10 seconds long, and the content is very blurry. Only Xia Yu, whose hair and clothes are slightly messy, can be vaguely seen. She slaps the opposite actress, and then the actress kneels directly in front of Xia Yu in fear. The entire scene is silent. It can be seen that it was cut from surveillance video, but there is no sign of synthesis. This video is the ultimate evidence of Xia Yu being stepped into the quagmire. After Xia Yu's incident, although Xingtang Media had a slow response and could not control the source, and the surveillance video was also taken away in advance, they still tried their best to suppress it. At least this video was roughly deleted. After all, Xingtang Media really couldn't bear to let Xia Yu, the money tree, fall. Unfortunately, the situation had already escalated and could not be stopped. Unexpectedly, after 2 years, it reappeared. The second paragraph is a screenshot of some actors and even directors speaking 2 years ago. The production team plays big cards, being late, forcibly changing the script and adding scenes, deleting scenes, snatching scenes, suppressing the actors and even the director. There is also the voice of Xia Yu's former roommate. After becoming famous, as a classmate of the same level, I have hardly seen this big shot come to school for classes, and the dormitory is also empty. Finally, there is a notice of withdrawal from the Imperial Film Academy. Xia Yu doesn't even need to click on it, he can anticipate the comments, every sentence is heart-wrenching. I just don't know, 2 years have passed, and these foolish people are just like 2 years ago, watching gossip without thinking. The third paragraph is about some photos, some of which were taken of the original owner secretly dating their first love, while the other part is an intimate photo of Xia Yu and Tao Tang, holding hands while shopping. There are also some kissing photos taken during a sneak peek. Xia Yu smiled and said, "It's hard to believe that you can make it up so vividly." As a party involved, I almost believed it. Due to the early cancellation of Xia Yu's Weibo account, Shui Jun and Black fans couldn't find a place to vent their frustrations. First, I went to the official Weibo account of Xingtang Media to block it, and then went to my agent Tao Tang's Weibo account to directly slaughter the version. Is it true that the internet has no memory? What's wrong with the entertainment industry now? Can actors with such bad deeds return? Shit, the small shops in the county town are not enough to make money, and they want to go back to the entertainment industry to make money. What's the difficulty of an actress making a comeback? It's just a matter of crossing her legs. I admit that Xia Yu looks good and your acting skills are also good, but that's not a reason for you to act with beauty. Upstairs, I seriously suspect that you are washing the floor for Xia Yu in the opposite direction. Brother Jime, please help him out. Meanwhile, #Xia Yu's participation in Wei Jingqing Studios' new drama #quickly topped the top 10 hot searches. All of a sudden, these sailors and Black fans exploded and found a new outlet for venting. A large number of sailors and Black fans have entered the official blog of Wei Jingqing Studio, starting to curse and boycott their comments. Resolutely refuse to watch scenes filmed by actors with unethical conduct. From boycotting Xia Yu to boycotting Wei Jingqing Studio. Since its establishment, Wei Jingqing Studio has been highly praised as a staff member in maintaining official blogs. The comments received were all praises, not even private messages. Suddenly, a flood of navy and Black fans came in, and the prompt sound of push messages exploded. In just a few seconds, hundreds or even thousands of abusive private message comments rushed over. What should I do? One of them was confused and at a loss. What else can I do? Turn off the private message first. The other one finally reacted quickly, but even if it was turned off, in just 1 minute, the private message backend showed 999 plus unread messages. Clicking on it, I almost had a cerebral hemorrhage in anger. The reputation that Wei Jingqing Studio has built over the years is gone. Did Xia Yu become Wei Jingqing's daughter, or did Wei Jingqing become Xia Yu's father? I'll go. Did these people use the restroom and eat the toilet? Their mouths smell so bad. On the other hand, Qi Chong and Chen Chuan also received a notice. The two of them were gathered in the hotel lobby, and their Weibo push was also exploded. They decided to turn off Weibo push, mute their phones, and both of them were staring and laughing uncontrollably. Wow, we've been registering on Weibo for several years now, and all the news combined may not be as much as today's half hour, right? When they tried to open Weibo again to see the situation, they found that Weibo had been paralyzed. Chen Chuan slammed his mouth and exclaimed, "Are Weibo all paralyzed by being fucked?" They finally realized what top traffic means. Unfortunately, this is a wave of black traffic, said Lao Chi, the fierce man helplessly. Otherwise, if we rush forward, everyone's beauty may be able to achieve another peak in ratings. The two of them have just called Wei Jingqing, and Lao Wei means they don't care. If you take pictures of you, after this period of turmoil, it will calm down and there will be no problem. Qi Chong guessed that this matter was very tricky, but he didn't expect it to be so tricky either. However, kicking Xia Yu out of the team definitely wouldn't work. Not to mention that old Wei couldn't justify it, even Qi Chong himself wouldn't allow it. After discussing for a while, the two finally found a compromise solution. End of this chapter.